They're getting a
Is anyone here? What did you find?
You are listening to Supernatural Confessions.
Welcome to another round of Friday Night Live with me, Eugene Tay, your host. Not running solo today, but just having a lot of technical error. John is out at work and he's rushing out to join us live. But with me today as a very special guest host, you may recognize her from one of our Hall of Famers legacy hosts. This is Sonia Khurana, who has been with us for 2 years, introducing my partner in crime, one of the three faces that you have seen in 2022 and 2021. Her name is Sonia Khurana, and she's usually dialing in from hospitals, aeroplanes, God knows where else. I think we'll let her come online and we'll reminisce in the old times together. Okay. So thank you so much for waiting for me. Thank you so much for coming early. I think there's a lot of you today. I saw like the numbers were quite sky high today as you joined us in the chat group before the show started. And now, well, help me welcome Sonia Khurana with us live. Hey, Sonia, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thank you.
So we have not seen you or heard from you since October last year, where we did the finale show,
Yes.
the live show, the Sarawak show. So what has been going on since then?
I've been traveling. I've got some pretty good stories from my travels, and I look forward to sharing all that later as
Okay.
we
Like,
speak.
So where are some of the interesting places that you've been that we have not
Well, the
heard
most recent one, I came back 2 days ago from Mount Kinabalu, and I've been doing some climbing. Prior to that, I was in North India in a place called Khyber,
yet?
where it was so cold, minus 28 degrees. I went looking for Yeti
So tell me you found
right up
something.
the alley of
Deal.
Matt and Bill's show.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you find anything?
No lah. Down there you will find yak. And I think that if you are cold enough, and let's say for instance you're wearing a wool jacket and it snows on you, you are gonna end up looking like the Yeti.
Always a super rational one. So for those of the fans who have not seen you yet, like give us a bit of background
Yes.
on how you got started with SC.
Oh my goodness. Well, you came on my Halloween night walk. That's how uh, this whole thing began, uh, and because I'm so rational, you felt that it was a nice change, perhaps, to have someone else's view that's not always skewed towards the hantu.
That's a nice way of saying I wanna get challenged, is it? All right.
Well,
Well, let's see from the comment section we have. Everyone, I saw your name. People saying hi Sonia.
hello.
We have. I didn't get a chance to say hello to those early comers because we were dealing with some tech issue. Oh, we have. Yeah, Joe Keck said I didn't ask for
Is this on
permission.
YouTube? It's not on Facebook anymore, right?
Adoy, Sonia, we're no longer on Facebook already. Now we're 100% on YouTube.
I, that's how long I've not been on the show.
Mark Shipo says, Sonia, we missed you.
Oh my
Olivia,
goodness, I miss all the familiar
yeah.
names.
Olivia Hawkins gave you a heart shape. Ushan says hello. He waves to you. Saravanan asking me, Eugene, new location. I think there's somebody else asking me, is it new location as well? I am in my studio. Remember the studio I used to stream in last time when it was Drunkula days? Yeah, so I'm back to that studio. Well, Dex says, welcome back, Sonia. Joyland says, Eugene.
Thank you.
Elaine. Matria. Oh, wow, very natural. Thank you. Macam podcast inside Store Hub. Who? Me or Sonia inside Store Hub?
What is Store Hub?
Store Hub is the place where you. Oh, wait, hold on. Guess. Someone is.
Hello.
Alamak. See lah, this fella. Okay, guys, why I got distracted? Because our friend just arrived. Hold on, let me add him in.
Hey,
Wait. John, they can't hear you yet.
hi,
John.
John. No, he's saying hi to me.
Oh, Allah. Oh,
Oh,
who? Can.
Boomy room.
Boomy room, is that like a it's like a Boomy Putra room, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I know you think I sound crazy because I'm talking to nobody, but actually I'm talking to John and I'm trying to put him in. So really, without Elvin doing because I T-loan Elvin out to Bill and Matt for
On the
Wednesday,
fringe.
on the fringe. So now I'm running this
Yes.
solo. Okay, let me. Hey, there we are.
Hey, hello everyone.
There we go. I think now.
Sorry I'm late.
Ah,
I'm in the lobby of MediaCorp at the moment.
Oh, they said that I've gone off.
Oh,
I've disappeared, they said.
Oh no.
no,
You can only have one friend.
Now you're back. Now you're back.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi.
Yay, John. Okay, all in now. Yes. All in.
Yay. Okay.
I thought tonight I was going to have to do solo, you know.
Can what? You don't need me.
Hey. Okay, now that the circle is complete,
Yeah.
we have a very special episode today, and that episode is actually every week, right, when we have guests, we try to give our guests some special, right? Like,
Yeah.
and this week, because we know this Sonia Khurana has always been traveling, so I thought, what better theme to run today than a theme on hotel room? Because in fact, I'm trying to
I'd
scare
love
her
to
lah.
hear about, haunted aeroplanes. I'd like to hear about that.
Oh,
Have.
okay. That's
Actually
the next. That's the next time you're on. Okay.
No, that one I keep for Joel Go. Joel Go, his S steward.
Oh yeah.
When he comes on,
Yeah.
we'll talk about.
True.
Thank you, Tan Jun Lee. First to make a donation to us. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to give a bit of shout out to Jun Lee. Jun Lee has been one of the ardent and enthusiastic fans of Supernatural Confessions, and what he has done for us is he has taken the liberty to go around to others, podcasters and all that, and asking them to collaborate with us to come on our show.
Awesome.
And he even went out to Jack Neo and asked Jack Neo to come on our show. And Jack Neo said, or Jack Neo's team rather says, we will discuss it internally and get back to you. So thank you very much. Okay, we're just asking just now Sonia to talk about her memories of last year before you got in. So maybe John, you can let us know your memories of Sonia.
Wow. I mean, I've always been like crazily jealous, right, of the lifestyle that Sonia leads, right?
Yeah.
You know, jetting all around the world to the most exotic places, you know, and then being able to guide other people, right? So it means that you know the ins and outs of that country, you know the dark secrets, you know, and then you choose what to reveal to these unsuspecting people, you know, and whether they come back alive or not, it's all in your hands.
Whether they come back alive or not. Okay.
You know, so I always got the sense that, you know, it's such an adventurous life that you lead, you know, and I think if I get my guts up, you know, it would be so cool to go somewhere scary led by Sonia. You know,
be careful what you wish for, no? This thing can just happen.
Yeah.
Because I think
that sounds like an advertisement for dark tourism already.
Exactly what I was heading towards. I mean, no one else is more qualified to lead that kind of thing than Sonia, right? So, you know, let's fingers crossed, hoping, you know, take us somewhere, you know.
So, guys, I hope for audience, I hope you guys can stay a little bit past 11:30 today because we do not have any featured confession, but we started a bit late. And I think when it comes to hotel stories, there is a lot to talk about. And I felt for sure we're going to bust 11:30. And I think now with the delay and all that, we definitely would. But let's kick off the very first confession. I'll let you or Sonia pick. With the first confession is going to be shadows in Tokyo Hotel. Sonia or John, which one?
My laptop's not ready yet, so
Okay, so it's either Sonia or Eugene then. It's either Sonia or me.
yes.
Sonia, do you want to do the shadows in Tokyo, or you want to do the
Other
hidden room,
one,
the hidden
no
room?
Yeah. Any
Which
preference?
was the first one?
The hidden
The
room.
first one
The
was
first one with
Which one?
the hidden room.
You want to do that one?
The first one with the boutique hotels, that one.
Yeah, that's hidden room lah.
that's hidden room. Okay. Then Eugene, you want to start with the shadows
Yes,
first?
I shall.
Let's save up hidden room because I think it's a little bit more mysterious.
More
that one.
mysterious. Okay lah. See, our hosts
You
all
think
got their
so?
preference. No, I like both. I like both. I mean okay. So in Ghost Mortem, Jonathan would usually shortlist a number of horror short films for me to choose. When it comes to Ghost, Friday Night Live, I will shortlist a bunch of confessions for John to choose. So John has picked Shadow Visitors in Tokyo Hotel to go first. And so let me read that one out for you. So, okay, so Sonia, you can take the second story later on and give us your teacher voice. Okay. Shadow Visitors in Tokyo Hotel. This confession is by Linda Ng, 34, mother of 2. Okay. I went to Tokyo, Japan for a holiday with my girlfriends. This was in my late 20s or early 30s. We had 2 twin sharing rooms. I was bunking in with my childhood friend Sharon. We knew each other since Katong Convent days, and this wasn't our first trip out together. Everything went well. Sharon's a planner, and I'm happy to just tag along. My other 2 friends, Z and Kat, were equally fun people to have around. They weren't from KC, but they were also from all girls' schools, so we could all vibe together on the same level. My mom was helping me take care of my kid, so I had the week away from packing lunch boxes and dealing with the constant "mommy, mommy, mommy." So we booked into a 4-star, 5-star hotel in Minato City, and from the looks of it, you would hardly think it's haunted. But on the day we checked in, we learned that this hotel has a notorious reputation. First thing I do as a habit when I get to any hotel is to pull aside the curtains to let sunlight in. Though I hadn't had any prior paranormal experiences, I am, after all, Asian, have listened to enough stories of supernatural confessions. I know how to take necessary actions when checking into a hotel room. The strange thing about this room is that for some reason, the room feels dark even when the sunlight is coming in. First instinct was that this room didn't feel right. But since Sharon didn't mind, I just ignored the feeling and went about the day. The first night we went to bed, I swore I saw shadows moving about the room, not even in a surreptitious way. The first shadow stood at the foot of my bed. I was not yet asleep and on my phone. The thick curtains shut the lights out from outside completely, but the toilet light was on, so the room wasn't in total darkness. When I looked up, I could see a silhouette of a man, who was shaped like a man, standing at the foot of my bed. I was startled, of course. I rubbed my eyes and looked again. But there it was, clear as anything. It wasn't my eyes playing tricks on me. I could make out the shape of the shadow, and it was this this black blob that blocked out my view to my suitcase that was against the wall. The shadow then turned to its left. I followed its gaze to see another taller shadow on the wall. This one was even clearer. Because of how the toilet light seeped out, there was a pale orange glow on the wall. The shadow was standing in the middle of it. I fucking screamed. Sharon woke up, lights were turned on, everything went back to normal. The fear somewhat dissipated and I questioned what I saw. It sounded ludicrous, even as I was retelling the story. That night, we slept with all the lights on. Exhaustion eventually took over my frayed nerves, and I think I must have drifted off to sleep an hour-ish later. It was probably around 3 a.m. We didn't tell Z or Kat because, quite frankly, by the time morning came around, the previous night's experience really felt like a figment of my imagination. The second night took preemptive measures. We kept all the lights on, curtains drawn open. Sharon had her sleep mask that she had gotten on the SQ flight. I was the kind that could sleep with the lights on, so the brightness didn't bother me very much. But seeing the light through my eyelids gave me more of a comfort, actually. So, sometime in the middle of the night, I heard a couple of loud clicks and got startled awake. The room was in total darkness. I was sleeping on my side, facing the wall. My back was towards the window, out of sight. But I could hear the sound of the curtain rails moving, slowly closing. First of all, waking up in darkness when I was expecting light was jarring enough. But now, with the sound, I went into full alert mode. I rolled over and saw a shadow figure slowly closing the curtains. I scrambled for the light switch, but the lights didn't come on. I grabbed my phone and used the torch function. There were more shadows around the room. 2 at the foot of my bed, 1 by the window, 1 in the corner, and another was in bed with Sharon. Then they all fucking turned to look at me at the same fucking time. I know this time I can confirm. I can double confirm. I'm not conjuring anything or imagining anything. Like I said, I was alert. This was the second night. After what happened on the first night, my brain was more prepared this time. For some reason, I wasn't as fearful as the first night. I yelled, "Get the fuck out of my room! Get out!" Nothing happened. Then the one on top of Sharon got off her and crawled its way towards my bed. Okay, now that freaked the hell out of me. I leapt out of bed, ran through one of the shadows at the foot of my bed, and out of the room. I had a split second to think about whether I was going to run through the shadow or not, but between the shadow crawling towards me and the one just standing there, I took my chances. I ran to Z's and Kat's room and pounded on the door. It took quite a while to open, and honestly, I was standing there getting more and more pissed off. I think I must have been quite hysterical by the time I saw them, and I was pretty much just yelling whatever. I can't really remember at this point, but we went back to my room together. It was on the same floor but a few doors down. But because I ran out without my key card, we couldn't get in. So we rang the doorbell and pounded on the door, and I was already ready to just run down to the concierge to get another card. Sharon opened the door, sleep mask on her forehead. She looked surprised to see me. Abe? We tried the lights again, but the lights still wouldn't come on. That's when we realized the key card had been removed. Sharon had the spare, so she went back into the dark room to find it. I was by now yelling for her not to go in, but Sharon didn't seem affected at all. So when we finally got the lights to start working again, we all piled into one room. Nothing looked amiss. The curtains were closed. Our beds looked slept in. But other than that, no signs of shadow people. Not taking our chances staying the rest of the night, we went down to the front desk to demand a change of room. The lady gave us an upgrade and apologized profusely for the inconvenience. There was no more sleeping that night. I told the girls what I had seen, and they all got spooked. This time, it was hard to see, I imagined it. Sharon and I deliberately left all the lights on and curtains open. Something or someone had removed the key card, closed the curtain. The only explanation was that one of us had sleepwalked, but then again, neither of us have any history of that. The next morning, we sat at breakfast talking about the night's incident, and another couple next table overheard us. They told us that this hotel is known to have such incidents and that we were lucky to have encountered it. They booked this hotel hoping for an encounter, but didn't get any. I told them my previous room number and said they are welcome to try. They said, according to feedback from others, it didn't matter which room you were in. The entire hotel is haunted. That was enough for us to GTFO from the hotel that very afternoon. I've traveled and stayed in other hotels since, but thankfully nothing like that ever happened again. P.S. Sharon later on came clean that while she was sleeping on the second night, she had a very sexy dream that she was making out with her crush. I don't know if that is just a coincidence or if she was making out with the shadow person I saw in her bed.
I like the twist at the
They
end.
didn't. Same. The shame. Shame she didn't film it.
Okay, so wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so Sonia, come. Take us through this. What do you think is going on?
Well, if you have several people saying the same thing, seeing the same thing, it's a bit hard to say that somebody sleepwalked and somebody imagined something and somebody else had shallow dreams and such, because they're all corroborating each other's stories,
But actually,
right?
only the confessor saw.
Only Linda saw, no one else
She-
saw.
Yeah, the other two girls had nothing in their room,
And-
and even Sharon was, having a sexy dream and totally didn't see anything.
Yeah.
So there is
Yeah, but
physical. Yeah.
Are we able to link it all? Because it seems rather coincidental that there's stuff happening to each and every one of them, though different experiences, but as they speak to each other,
Hey,
it seems rather strange.
no, Sonia, none of them, there are four girls, right? There's
Yeah.
Linda.
Yeah.
Linda's a confessor. Sharon is her roommate.
Sharon,
Z and Kat.
Z and Matt,
Z and Kat, right?
Cat.
The
Yeah.
only person who had experienced anything throughout their stay was Linda. Sharon, who was in the same room, slept on the first day, slept through second day, and when they all came in, when Kat and Z came in, they didn't see anything. It was a normal room. But because Linda told her story, they all got spooked.
Ayo, power
But
of
had-
suggestion lah.
But what's
But had
interesting?
nothing to contribute.
But what's interesting is
themselves,
in the
right?
morning when they were at breakfast and they were talking about it, the next door couple at the table having breakfast said this hotel is known to be haunted. The whole hotel. And also one more thing that I think if you did not notice is when she went to the concierge to ask for change of room, there was no pushback. It was okay here. We are sorry for the inconvenience. Did they
Instant
know?
upgrade.
It's like they know,
Yeah.
and that they expect it. They expect people to ask for changes.
Yeah.
So it's very useful to find out the reputation of your hotel beforehand because you can get a free upgrade after your first night. Okay. Just research the confession and tell your version of the story. Alright? Okay. I mean, okay. So looking for the proof in the evidence in the scene, right? So the only physical things that happened, right, was the curtain moving, which I found was really creepy, right? The curtain moving, and the fact that the key card had been taken out. Right? Which is not an easy thing to do. It doesn't happen by accident. You have to plug the key card out. Right? And then where did that key card go?
I couldn't find it. It was gone.
Yeah. Right? So that's a mystery that is real, right? She thought maybe sleepwalking, blah, 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 and if none of the other three girls did it, then there is a physical mystery. Apart from what she saw, there's something tangible, right? But is it possible that she sleepwalked?
Yeah, so that's what they were saying, right? I mean, because when you are face to face with unexplainable occurrences in your room, one of the things that you want to do is to be as super rational as possible, right? And so they were coming out with things like sleepwalking and everything, but then again, A, no history of sleepwalk, and B, it was Linda who saw the whole thing. So unless she sleepwalked and she imagined all that, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
But by that same logic, I would also say no history of supernatural witnessing. She doesn't have the sight. She has since not seen anything. And out of 4 people, why would the one person, only her, see them who has never seen them before? There's no reason why, you know what I mean? So it's to me, it's equally improbable that she would sleepwalk or witness something. Both no history. I don't know.
But John,
yeah.
No,
What do you
I
think?
mean, if there's, I don't think there's a timeline for any person to not have sight before,
Mm,
that the possibility they could suddenly have that
mm,
ability. You know what I mean? It's like, yes, all four may not have had the sight prior, but it
mm,
doesn't, I mean,
mm,
I would think that it could just happen there. Something could have triggered it, started it, opened an
mm,
eye maybe, or
mm, mm.
uh, yeah. So I'm a little bit more inclined to think that just because it hasn't happened before, it can't happen now.
I do
Mm.
agree. I think actually when you were telling the story, and there was one burning question that I wanted to ask the confessor,
Mm.
which is, was anything unusual about the trip?
Nothing. I
Did
checked.
something, no, no, as in, did anything happen to her,
Oh.
right, as a trigger? Because like Sonia said, right, it could have triggered at this point in her life, right? Or it could have been a one-off,
Mm.
right? But what happened, during that trip
Mm.
that put her in that place,
Mm.
right? Or is it truly random? If her eye opened, was it because she was was something happening to her mood? Was she, depressed? Was she
Mm.
something
Mm.
else? Yeah, because
Okay.
if she was
Or
absolutely normal and rational,
Yeah.
as she was all the other times, then there's no trigger, ma.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you might be right on this one. There might be a trigger, but then it was not said to me lah. It was not said to me. But I do
And
agree
she
with
may not
you.
have made the connection, right? She may not have
Mm.
realized for herself,
Correct,
you
correct.
know.
So I mean we can hypothesize that maybe she was in a bad place in life and then she needed an all girls trip, whatever, right? So maybe. But
Mm?
but we don't have that for a fact. But
Mm.
what I find interesting about this particular confession is
Mm.
that she did not go into this hotel room. In fact,
Mm.
when I was speaking to her, she
Mm.
says, "Oh, who really thinks about ghosts in Japan?" I mean, quite frankly, if you ask me, to me, when you think of Japan, I think a lot of ghosts. But you're talking to a person who listens to ghosts, who believes in ghosts. But for her, it was not top of mind. Tokyo was
Mm-hmm.
not top of mind ghost. Tokyo was top of mind shopping. So she was
Mm-hmm.
not in the headspace of seeing things. So I was trying to
I beg to disagree
ah
because she also said she did her precautions. She's a regular listener to Supernatural
yes,
Confessions. We
and
are
yeah,
always
she
in
said
her
that.
mind. Yeah.
that's it lah.
Okay. She
Everyone who
may not
listen to
be
Supernatural Confession, you all die already lah. Sure see hantu one.
you of all the things to choose. You choose to listen to us. You are infected. And
Just
I mean,
as recently as my last trip, I was sharing a room, and this girl, she knocked on the door first, and she says, "I got some pantang," and straight away I was brought back to the things
yeah.
that we've been saying on the show.
I I I don't think they're on her mind, but they're definitely in her unconscious. Right?
Yeah,
If
yeah.
she has these rituals, and the fact that she doesn't think about them very much
Mm,
means
mm.
it's so deeply embedded in her, right? She herself explains, right? I'm Asian after all.
Yeah.
If she says that, it means that she has been fed a regular diet of Asian ghost lore in her life.
Yeah.
She just doesn't think that I'm here in a haunted hotel. It's not a conscious thing like the other couple, right? Who are here ghost hunting. For her, it's not. But it's totally in the back of her head.
I do
Yes, because
apologize
there she
unreservedly
is.
to everyone watching Supernatural Confessions, listening to us here live or on podcast. I'm sorry that you guys are quite fucked.
100%.
Yeah.
But speaking of knocking,
Mm.
I thought that would be her first precaution, right? She did the sunlight thing, which is jolly good, but I think the knocking first
Maybe that's
would
what.
have.
No, I think she would have knocked.
Yeah.
She would have knocked. I
She didn't mention it. She didn't
Any-
check with her. Okay? Go back
anyone
and
who
check.
watched
She said
Supernatural,
she took precautions. What, it's like, what are the precautions?
Yeah, she only mentioned the sunlight.
very good question. Later on, after this confession, I'll give you guys who are new to this channel a list of precautions when you go to hotel room.
Yes, please.
Quickly,
Yeah.
just to get onto the comment section, we have Clark says that being super rational is part of a coping mechanism because you don't want to have to deal with something that you cannot explain because that's fearful.
Yeah.
But when you can find a reason to shoehorn inside, even though if it's a bit of stretch, it eases your discomfort. Anand
Yeah.
says, after listening to Supernatural Confessions, I always Google the hotel that I'm about to book for a trip to check if there's any hantus mentioned in reviews. So lah, listen, Supernatural Confession also not bad lah. Keep you all safe, ah.
I think that all these hotel booking websites should have a direct link to Supernatural Conventions. It's like click the ad, check your hotel, is it haunted? You know. But now I totally.
Or
I totally,
we can start
Uh,
our own directory.
oh, that'd be
You know,
so
we have
cool.
enough. We have enough people to do this.
We are going to cause the loss of business for a lot of these hotels. I'm going to kena already. When I talk about the Tampines property, right?
Lawsuits.
Yeah, I have to put disclaimer out there. So I put disclaimer. It says I am not saying that ghosts are real. I'm just saying that.
No, you will bring them even more business, I tell you. Because you are telling them which rooms and which floors are safe also, you see.
Okay, Singapore, and this is one. Maybe I'll share it later because I have a few confessions that came in for this Singapore hotel. I'm going to talk about Maestro Hotel later. Maestro Hotel is one of the most
I love
famous
that
Singapore hotel. I'll give you guys a walk down memory lane later. In around the Bugis Lavender area, there is a hotel near a mosque that
I know which one.
has been because we go there makan a few times. Is reputed to be haunted by a few. By a few, I mean more than 5 confessors who talk about their stay in a hotel.
Wow.
Mm.
Okay. Okay.
Not going to tell you which one.
There are not many to choose from, but okay.
Yeah. Because
Okay.
yeah. Okay, so Well, also back to this confession. Anything that you guys would like to add?
I mean, okay. You guys have heard, I'm sure, many confessions regarding shadow people, right? So, what do you two think about the entity here, right? What was their intention? Why were there so many? You know, and and a very striking moment that she mentioned when they all turned to look at her at the same time. You know, it's a classic cinematic moment, right? You know, but I want to know what you think they were up to.
Sonia, go first on this one.
Meaning they were well aware she could see. She could see
Yes.
them.
But what were they there for?
And
What?
I've always thought that so if we used to discuss how they could feed off of our energy and our belief in them. So if they felt that she could see and they are there to feed off of her belief and the energy that she exudes in that belief, they've targeted her to feed off of her power, maybe. What other reasons?
Well, I mean, they
have?
were feeding on Linda as well, apparently, right? You know, in fact, they had started feeding on Linda first, and she kind of interrupted it, right? You know, so I wonder who the prey was, if there's such a thing, right? And why this pair instead of, let's say, the 2 friends next door or the couple who had purposely come here looking for ghosts? Why Sharon and Linda particularly, both of whom have no sight? You know, they seem to be innocuous sort of targets, right, for what seems to be a very organized kind of attack. You know, and someone, you know, closing the curtains to block the light, you know, and then standing there at the foot of her bed. I feel that there's intention here. You know, these are not spirits that just passing through or they just belong to the room. They came here, right? First night 2, and then next night more.
It's targeted.
So, yeah, it's targeted.
So was the veil thinner for her? Was she already more sensitive? You know, just because she did not have any other encounters prior doesn't mean that she's not open to it.
It's possible. But in your experience of these shadow figures, what do they want? Is it just feeding energy? Are they sort of, you know, energy succubi?
I've always felt they want recognition themselves. They want to be seen. They want to exist.
Right.
You know, just like us. They may exist in another plane, but they exist. They want to be acknowledged.
And do you think that
just like we go looking for them, they might come looking for us?
So Sonia, are you saying that it must be the hantu.
Mm.
Sounds like
I'm
it. Sounds like what
saying
you're
I
going.
have, and I have always said that I believe that another plane does exist. I've always looked for proof of it. I just may need more proof than others, but I have never said they don't exist. You
So
know,
they are
just a little bit more of
visitors.
a yes. If you know how we talk about UFOs and how there is mounting proof of their existence. Similarly, just like science is the supernatural that is not explained, are we inching closer and closer to where the lines are going to further blur?
I mean, I'm trying to piece together like little shreds of evidence from the story, right? You know, and another thing that strikes me is these shadow people for her were quite opaque, right? Because she described how I think on the first night, right, it blocked the view of her luggage,
Yes. It
right?
was like a
You know,
black
right?
blot.
Correct. Yet at the same time, they're not corporeal because she could run right through it. And in fact, she was quite certain she could run right through it.
I think between the crawling one
she-
and that one, she just try her luck. Lah.
It's a
And
bed. There are
we're
four
sure
sides. There are four
she
sides to the
she
bed. You go the other side lah. You
you
don't have to
and
run
we're sure she
through.
doesn't have a speck of dust in her eye that she
Because I mean, you know what I mean? She's not in a corner. I don't have to run through the hunt. I can run beside the hantu. You know,
you
if I
can
want to
run
get out the room.
around the hantu.
Okay, I do
Yeah,
not know how the
so-
format of the room is like, but I think if she could have run around, she would. I'm just giving her that kind of
But-
common sense.
You know, but to me, it feels that she's confident that she can run through it.
Okay.
That's my point. You know, that she has no thought that, it can grab me. Because that's the danger, right? You know, if I saw a strange thing, I'm just going to go, I'm not going anywhere near you and certainly not going through you. I'm just going to distance first, right? But she was quite confident that I can barge through, which is very interesting, right? And yet at the same time, she was quite sure that she will be in danger from the one that was crawling over. So can it grab her, but she can run through? So, I mean, in that moment of
Correct.
confusion, it's also very hard to say.
I don't know,
right?
lah, but I mean, for me,
Maybe
it's
you
nothing.
go with the lesser evil.
Yeah.
I mean, something's crawling at you. That is more scary than something that's just standing there opaque. So you go with the lesser evil.
Like, I don't care even if that thing can't touch me, it's crawling towards me. I'm gonna run.
Okay, so Eugene, is this an episode where you can link everything to the jinn as well?
No. So I have my
Or what do you think?
okay,
Yeah, what do you
so
think these
I have
shadows are?
my hypothesis about this particular story.
Mm.
I think John, you hit a nail on the head with one aspect which it did not occur to me, but now that I think about that, it's actually very glaring to me. Why Linda of all times now can see, right? And I think the shadow people were not intending for either Sharon or Linda or anyone to see them. It was not their intent. In fact, I think they were almost as surprised that she can see. I get that sense. And why this? And it is one of a common occurrence for people who are depressed, upset, going through a down period of their time where their or their light is low, where they're down, their energy, they're vibrating at a very low energy. And this gives her, like I think what Sonia mentioned just now, was the veil thin at this stage. That was when she could see and realized that the few times where she woke up was one when she was on her phone and then she just looked up because it felt like there was something.
Yeah.
Second time, she heard a click sound and she woke up. So I think already second day, she hyper alert, the brain is on high alert. Any sound is going to wake her up. Light, it seems to me that the shadow people are adverse to light because they want to turn off everything, close everything. But then means they're also kind of sentient. Not your wandering spirits.
Oh yeah.
Not your dead soul moving around haunting. These are entities with malevolent intent. So what is the intent? Is this intent to have sexual intercourse? Is that, but not in a way that we humans have sexual intercourse? Could they be feeding on your energy by giving you dreams? And that dreams could be, in terms of Sharon's case, where she is fantasizing, and our body and our mind emits energy, EMF, EEG, when we are in certain emotional state, and these spirits feed on that. That's what I figured. And if the reviews is true, now let's make the assumption reviews is true. There's other people going there and saying the same thing. Then my question is the hotel built on the land that belongs to these people? Because these are entities. These are otherworldly beings.
Mm-hmm.
Or could the hotel itself be dabbling in something and feeding off the patrons? You get what I mean? It's like almost like from dusk to dawn. That bar
Yeah.
is used to attract truckers so that the entities in there
Yeah.
can feed on the truckers. Could this be it? That's my question. I'm leaning more towards this answer. Yeah.
I mean, it goes back to that same question, right? Which is, what is it about her mood at this time, right? At the time that made her both prime prey as well as a candidate for seeing. You know, two surprising things happened to her.
More
Out of all the
susceptible to it.
rooms,
Yeah.
this room became the target, right? And instead of spreading out, haunting 5 rooms, they all 5 haunt 1 room. All right. So clearly they were the best targets in the hotel. And number 2, she suddenly gained the ability to see even in the light. So not the first night she saw it in the light, right? Or at least some light. There was some light, right?
Was it said that this, when she went down to ask for a room change and then they willingly gave it, was this room already known to have occurrences? Think about that, because the entities could have been tied to that room, and she was given that room.
But according to the neighbors, it's not specific rooms. It's just the hotel. So they travel around.
Yeah.
That's why the other guests were hoping that they would choose their room lah.
Hearsay
Hearsay lah. But based on the ones who have, I assume, done some researching, and came here for that purpose, it's not a room, but could be. I love the idea that this hotel is nefarious and it's a feeding ground, But I'm curious what the law is. You see, is there any? So this happened in Japan,
Tokyo.
right?
I was given the name of the hotel. I went to Google it up. They have since changed name already.
Right. Okay.
Since changed name. So I do not know whether change name, change owner, anything has changed, but the hotel is still standing lah. So if you guys want to stay in the hotel, I can let you guys know where it is lah.
I mean, I totally buy into the idea that there are beings, right? Beings, entities, who I think feed off, human energy, and then can maybe find a better feast when you are in a certain mood, a certain frame of mind, right? You are easier target lah, but somehow hearing this, although it's very satisfying in terms of law, right, makes it slightly less frightening, because then I feel that, then it happens to most guests at some point.
Yeah.
And unless you stay there for
why is that any less scary?
Because then you have a sexy dream and you check out the next morning and you're fine. Then they're not going to follow you. I'm worried about the ones that will go with you in your luggage and travel home with you. I don't mind you want to suck my energy for one night. It's okay.
In exchange for a sexy dream.
Hey.
That's the key word here. You want to suck my
how...
energy, suck all you want, but just give me a sexy dream.
Yeah. Maybe that's how dreams come, right? Ooh. Maybe we witnessed the Sandman. Maybe the shadow people are Sandmen bringing dreams. Again, she woke up and she didn't get her dream because she kept disturbing the one that's standing at the foot of her bed, standing by to give her a sexy dream. Idris Elba or whatever, right? Like, come on. And then she can run through him. Then like, okay, that's it. No dreams for you. All right. It's hard to say because we don't know that their intention is evil.
So
they may be freaky and scary, but I don't know what their intention is.
So these are good Japanese JAV ghosts who's going to go there to give you sexy time, nice dream. Then she's like, Then like, I just want to give you sexy dream.
Yeah, two senior AV dream givers, and then the other 3 are like the interns who are watching.
The boom mic owner.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what's going on.
Somewhere in the ghost universe, there is spirit porn happening, streaming right now.
Maybe okay, this is totally out. Maybe she astrally projected to the future where the room was used to shoot AV and there were this a 5-member crew. But because she couldn't see it for real, she only saw them as shadows.
Yeah, like the whole interstellar thing, right? Because
Yes, exactly. No, lah, okay.
Whoa.
Okay, but another thing that's very interesting, right? Again, coming back to the entity, right? Because I'm very fascinated by shadow people. I don't know how they look. I've never seen one, of course. But
they look like shadow.
yeah, thanks. Okay, but how can you tell when a shadow turns its head?
When it's
To look at you.
opaque and just
But
has
there's
an outline.
but there's not much light in the room. You need the outline to be clear in order to see a small turning of the head.
So maybe it's almost
Maybe
like
it was the profile.
But she said 5 of them turned their heads to look at her, and only by the light of her phone. She couldn't have lit all 5.
maybe it's like
So-
the Blue Man Group. It's almost solid, right? Featureless, just one. Now,
Yeah,
now it's
I
getting
mean,
even scarier.
In my head, I'm trying to imagine them, right? Are they black like orang minyak kind of, very solid black, right? Just minus the slipperiness, right? And maybe not so shiny, right? Matte black. Because to me, shadow people used to suggest a certain smokiness.
Yes. I
But
mean, there's
hers-
nothing firm about it. There's nothing
Correct.
solid about
Because
it, right?
maybe
Shadow.
yeah,
That's what it
Black
is.
people is just politically incorrect to say lah. So we go with shadow.
No, but I mean, you say shadow because they suggest a shadow, right? But shadows are very rarely so sharp. Especially unless your room is very brightly lit
yeah.
from a single source. But the moment you turn on another source, your shadow starts to get diluted already. So I would imagine that, and in a dim room like that, I think the shadows must be even darker. Darker shadows
Because
in
a
a
shadow
dark room.
is absence of light. It is
Correct.
where light does not pass, right?
Right. But
Yeah. So that in itself really does not make any sense.
So they are very puzzling to me. I've not say I want to see
Maybe
one.
you need
but
to define what shadow is lah. You need to make the definition
because
Let's go with the
they,
definition.
Let's go definition.
they come up a lot. They come up a lot in different confessions.
I think okay.
and-
So
and-
I'm guessing, right? Like from all the different confessions that people are saying about the shadow people, I begin to feel it is not the shadow, liquid, whimsy kind of shadow that we think about as the shadow casted on the wall. It's really
Right.
a black silhouette kind of solid substance kind of creature. But there's people
So
just
you
say,
are-
And for the lack of
It's
and
the
for the lack
oily
of calling
man-
it anything
Yes,
else,
yes.
then we call it shadow people.
yeah,
It's the oily man kind of version of shadow people.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
Sean Chen says, my dad got strangled by a Vietnamese ghost. Turns out that the sand in the project he was using came from Vietnam and probably contained the remains of the deceased. He was strangled.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay. So now it's almost 11 already. You said, John, very
Okay,
short.
okay, that's-
You say very short discussion, right? This one.
This is considered short already.
Okay. So, Sonia, anything to wrap up? You can say things like, "Yeah, I believe totally believes the hantu." That's fine by me as well. So, any wrap up for this confession?
No, I just think that it's always never enough. So whenever I listen to stories like that, I have my own set of questions. It's just never enough proof. Never enough proof for me. So not yet. I am
Not yet. Not yet.
not
Okay, pending.
convinced.
Pending. Okay.
Say only.
I think-
Say only. She's dying
I
to
think
come
for
out.
me, right?
Yeah.
For me,
Come
I'm
on.
just I just want to know why it's only her, right? And what made it unique, right? So the I guess the emotional and psychological background, that
Yes.
she may not have thought about it, and I think she needs to think about it because that will give us a clue.
That
know?
I mean, she could have been undergoing some sort of stresses. Travel causes stress, and did she say she lost luggage or she had a hard time checking in or finding her way to the hotel? There are all sorts of rational things that could have happened to her psychologically that
And earlier you hinted at
that-
something. You hinted at the reason for this girls' trip. It was the first time they'd gone for a girls' trip, so it's not a regular thing, and
could
very
have been
often.
an eat.
Okay.
Eat, pray, love
Because
type.
I know the person, I also
Okay.
have a bit of background info. Okay. She went on this trip because it was a relationship issue. Having some trouble.
Well, you never say earlier. We could have gone with that.
Yeah, it's not
So
part of it's not part of the confession. What?
okay, so it is possible, right? With no judgment,
Context is
no
everything.
judgment, but it's context, right? So yeah, it's entirely
Yes.
possible. Now it makes sense to me much more
Yes.
Okay,
that
so
there's
to all the people out there
unacknowledged stress.
who I'm about to confess, who I'm about to confess, who I'm about to interview for your confessions in future, if I start asking you about your love life and your daily life, please understand I'm not hitting on you. I just need to put things in context because my hosts are very demanding. I must tell them not just your ghost story, but how you're feeling, what you had for lunch, who you slept with 2 nights before. So yeah,
because
all for the name of
because
research.
it's because just
I
like
mean,
in just like in crime, it's all about criminology and it's all about victimology,
yes.
right? The victim
There
is
you
half
go.
the haunting,
Mm,
right? Or maybe more than half the haunting, right? So we
mm,
need to understand who you are and why the hunter want to catch you,
mm,
right?
mm,
So I
mm.
think it will help a lot. I mean, it's not to pry, it's not to judge, but it does
Some
complete the
background
story.
information really
Yeah,
helps.
Okay.
yeah, you know. Hmm.
Mm.
Cool.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
exciting.
Come. We
Okay,
got to get on
come.
with other parts of the story. I think the next part, before we get on to
Mm.
the final confession, John, why don't you
Mm.
go and ask Sonia about the experiences and all that? I know Sonia has some ghost story to tell. Ghost story, not superational story to tell.
What?
Okay,
But
so
they're not my stories.
okay, what is the most recent this supernatural thing that you come across in your last trip?
So
Maybe.
in all of my travels, I have been collecting.
Mm.
I have been collecting. I have been collecting stories. And the last
Mm.
place I was at, in fact, I just got back 2 days ago from
Mm.
Sabah. I was in Kota Kinabalu,
Okay.
and Kota Kinabalu is a city, right? We didn't stay in the city long. We went up into the hills of Kundasang.
Mm.
Mm.
Now, in Kundasang, you're going to find many more of the village style people,
Mm.
like the Orang Dayak,
Okay.
the Kadazan, and all that. Now,
Mm.
those people are a little bit more inclined to believe in animism, even though
Mm.
Christianity has come to Sabah, but they still hold on to many of their older
Mm. Yeah.
cultural beliefs. And the fact that we were going to go climb Mount Kinabalu, they revere this mountain. They believe
Mm.
that that's where all the souls go, to the highest point, the closest point to heaven.
Mm. Okay.
And they also have some law that there was treasure at the top that is guarded by a dragon. So a lot of
No
Oh.
people, to prove their
way.
valor, would go up into the mountains
Mm.
to seek this treasure.
Ah.
And I mean, they die of all sorts of things.
Mm.
It's a terribly dangerous trek, and when you get
Mm.
close to the top, you can just roll off the mountain and die.
Yeah.
And
Right.
a lot of them didn't come back, and
Mm.
it left many of those of the village people widows of the
Mm.
men that had gone to seek this treasure.
Aiyo.
So there was a lot of reverence for this
Mm.
mountain. It is a taker of lives,
Right.
and
Wow.
they felt that the dragon would take
Mm.
these lives. So interestingly, when you speak to the local guides, not so much the locals, they revere the mountain, but they also have great respect for it,
Mm.
and rightfully so. Rightfully
Yeah.
so.
Mm.
Okay, I'm interested in something about the dragons, right? So when you say dragons,
Yes.
immediately I start thinking of the Dungeons, the Angmor dragon, scale,
Mm.
Oh,
wings, Lord of the Rings, that Dungeons and Dragons kind of dragon. But
then you
Mm.
need to think of more the Asian
the
dragon,
Chinese dragon is
like
that like
the water dragon with the chew chew,
the
and
Shang
the
Mm.
Chi, that kind of one.
Okay. What is
The
the
Chu
word
Chu.
that they use? What is the word they use to refer to the dragon? What is the word
they
that they
just said dragon.
use
They
in
well,
English?
they're speaking, yeah, because they're speaking to me in English, so they have their own dialects and their own
Mm.
languages and stuff, but they're not going to speak to me in it. And then it's direct translation, I suppose, and the closest thing you're going to get is dragon, for
So
whatever
then,
this
then I
this
think it's misleading because I don't think dragon is a
crypt,
good translation for
yes,
whatever
for
it is that they are
for this
revering.
No, but
cryptid,
Yeah,
right? But
because
what
I
else is interesting,
mm,
and this one, the guide that walked with me, uh, I'm into flora and fauna, so I ask a lot of questions as I go along the
mm,
trails. And there's this thing known as they have many types of mosses mosses in the forest. And I like to handle it, take a couple of pictures. And the guide told me they call this bunyan
Oh.
beard.
Oh,
That
okay.
particular moss they call bunyan beard. So I was a bit surprised. I mean, obviously this guy does not know that I have an interest in all things a little bit unusual and weird, but for him to tell me that, and I said, why is it called bunyan beard? He said it has medicinal value and they believe it's magical. So magical how? Right? Just because it has medicinal value, therefore you accord it magical properties, because when you use this moss on your wounds, it helps you heal faster. It's got like an antiseptic property. So is that why it's linked to the supernatural? So again, it brings me back to my point that science is just the supernatural that we don't understand.
Yeah, that one I absolutely agree. I mean, animism is a level of belief that doesn't try to rationalize and analyze everything.
Because
but
maybe
rather,
they don't
it's,
need,
it's,
because it's magic,
yeah, correct. The whole point of animism is it's a compact with nature,
like snow.
right? So it
Oh
would
my
be
God, like snow.
it would be, I think, a bit rude.
Precipitation.
It would be a bit rude to nature to reduce it down to laws and rules and science, right? But rather, if you revere the spirits, then you don't question their doings.
Yes.
If they give you something that
Yes.
can heal you, you take it as a
Yes.
gift.
Yes.
Right? It's a
Correct.
divine gift. You don't ask how does it
Yes.
happen, what chemical is it. That is an insult.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So
Well,
animism.
those
I think,
questions,
yeah.
those questions are for the foreigner, which is here.
Yes.
For the foreigner to ask, right? But the locals will tell you, please do not veer off the trails. And they don't tell you because they want to go looking for you later and stuff like that. They have great reverence for everything that that lives on this mountain. You don't kill anything. You be careful what you step on. You don't remove anything from the mountain.
Right.
And it is only out as it should be. Respect the place that you're in. Accord it the same reverence. Now, some of the pantang, very interesting, and I think you will like this. Some of the pantang, before you climb any of these mountains, you are discouraged, highly discouraged from eating pork.
Of course. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
highly discouraged. And I had a personal experience. This has nothing to do with Mount Keke, but with a much earlier climb in my teenage years. We were walking in circles for the longest time because it was later found that one of the climbers had a tin can of luncheon meat in their bags.
Oh, and therefore
So they said that,
offended someone.
Offended the mountain gods and the spirits, and they covered eyes. So that pantang still is very much alive because people in my group, were saying that, cannot this, cannot that.
So cannot eat pork, cannot even bring pork, right?
Yes.
Cannot have it on you or any
Yes.
pork products. Pork products. Okay, all right. Wow. What else? What other exciting pantang were there?
Sorry, breaking up, John. I can't hear you.
Sorry. What other interesting pantang did they have?
What other interesting pantang did they
Yeah,
have?
that you don't kill anything.
Okay.
So you don't kill anything, and if you see, okay, so that was Mount Kinabalu. Now I was
Right.
on a hike this morning,
Oh.
and I have two things to tell you about my hike. One is I saw shimmer.
Like Predator.
I mean, not like that lah, but there's a little bit of a shimmer. And at one point, out of nowhere, I could smell excrement. Very, very BTMM and mawas in nature. And I've smelled it before over in Sembawang as we walked through that Bunyan forest. So straight away, I was brought back to one of our recon episodes where all of us smelt it, all of us experienced it. And I was with my friend, and I asked him, I said, do you smell that? And he went, no, he didn't smell it. So it was just me. And it was only on that spot. And there is nothing around us. I checked his shoes. I checked my shoes. There's nothing. And it's a very particular, it's a non-animal excrement smell. So, all this all of you like saying I'm super rational. Yes, I fall back to being rational all the time because you need to be able to explain these things. However, it does not mean that I don't have my own stories or experiences.
I love this sort of paradoxical position, right? Where we claim that we're supernatural and we want to understand, we just want to see the rational side of things, but we are constantly searching for the things that we cannot explain,
Yeah.
and those are the things that excite us the most.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like,
it
there's something I
should.
cannot explain. you know.
Mm.
I'm
So
gonna
I think
share with you guys something, okay? One time only. One time only. I'm not gonna share today. If you are here, you listen to this. Good for you. I'm not gonna repeat this again. You know, Sonia says
Okay.
she's super rational, right? You know, if you join her on her classified walks where she go to find a hunter and all that, right? I know there are some of our fans who actually follow her. Then she start talking about ghosts, this place got ghosts, and then they all like, hey, I thought you super rational. How come today you talk about ghosts? That's why you only get to see this side about me off camera. Then there's one time as well, I was out with someone, and then I think the person was trying to make fun of something. Like says, hey Eugene, must be the hantu, right? Then I was caught off guard, so I went into the whole scientific rational spiel about the particular thing. Then she looked at me like, I need to record this shit. No one's gonna ever believe me. That Eugene is not about the hantu. I'm like, shh, don't ruin my reputation. Yeah. So there we go.
We are all more than what we seem. Okay.
Yeah. Even
Oh.
as recent as I was reading one, I think someone had said something in the comment section, and recently there was an earthquake on Mount Kinabalu. That was in 2015.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
it was very tragic. There were a lot of lives lost, and they attribute that to an incident where people were disrespectful of the mountain.
Mm.
So
Right.
the reason why a lot of these pantangs continue existing into the future, regardless of how scientific we get, how modern we get, they're still able to fall back to these because of things that happen around them. And we know that earthquakes are caused by seismic movement, Earth's crust, and all that.
Or angry
But
spirits.
yet, it is still tied to pantang, being disrespectful, and all of those things, right? Even though the science exists and there is proof, but it's easier to fall back into cultural and historical beliefs in that way.
Sonia,
I think
Is it more comforting, you think?
I think it's more it's part of human nature because we want to see ourselves as the center of existence, right? So the most comforting logic for the world and the cosmos is something that is affected by what I do, that can be offended by me, placated by me, prayed to by me. It's a terrifying thing to think that the plate tectonics will just send us all underwater in a few thousand years and we will have nothing to say and we don't matter at all. You know, that kind of
No
existence.
control. It
No
is
control.
about relinquishing control. And that's why on Mount Bromo, they're still sacrificing cows and chickens to the volcano.
And that's why the
because we
volcano
want
didn't
to
erupt.
believe.
It works. The sacrifice works.
Well, the system works.
Okay, I challenge
The
both of
system
you
works.
to give me scenarios and I'll tell you how I can Hantunize it. Give me anything.
It's
anything.
okay. It's okay. No need. It's not a special skill. All right. Our forefathers have been doing it. Every time it storms, someone is angry at someone.
The god
else.
is angry.
Obviously. Yes.
Lightning
nothing
strike.
to do
Someone
with.
tell lies. You
Correct.
fall
Of
sick,
course,
is it?
Obviously.
Offend the spirit.
Obviously.
Cannot sleep. Offend spirit. Sleep too deep.
Of course.
You
Offend
disrespect
spirit.
the moon by pointing at it, you get your ears cut.
Correct. If your ears don't get
So
cut
you
when you
see?
point to the moon, because the good spirit protect you because you've been good. Sure one.
There is a reason for everything.
It's comforting. It's comforting to think that way. And I think that's one reason why mankind came up with religion in the first place, whether it's animism, which is our most primal religion, to the more complicated ones that come along later. They are all giving us the starring role in this universe.
Yeah.
You know, that there's a god or gods or something out there that actually gives a damn what we do. and that's nice to know.
Yeah.
You know, so let's carry on believing. You know, I think
Yeah.
it's important
That's what I
for
always
our
say, right?
sanity.
When it comes to the supernatural, if you notice when I reply people and people ask me, "Oh, do you think this is a hantu or not?" My reply is always, "I want to believe." I never say, "Yes, it is." No, it's not.
Yeah.
I want to believe because
Yeah.
in the Eugene Tay really want to believe. Okay,
Yeah.
put it to you this way: MH370 right now showing on Netflix, correct? If you watch the entire show, there is no answer. Obviously, there's no answer because they have not found a plane. I
Yeah.
truly want to believe that just at the Bermuda Triangle, the plane has gone into some place, exited to another timeline, or the aliens have taken it. I don't have an answer for you, but that is my I want to believe. And some
Yeah.
people who are not into that, don't give me alien bullshit. They will try to shoehorn all kinds of logical reason into it. And if you watch the show, some of the logical explanation just seems so far-fetched. Like one of them is the pilot is good. He wants to kill himself. And therefore he crashed the plane. He go up here, he U-turn. 6 hours later, then he crashed the plane. Like, why? Why 6 hours later turn off everything? So everybody just want to believe what they want to believe. And that's why Supernatural Confessions is so interesting because we can literally spend 1.5 hours, 2 hours, even more, talking about a 3-minute confessions in so many ways to Sunday. And that's the beauty of this kind of show. Speaking of which, I want to sell Koyo for a bit. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a live show coming up. If you have been with us from last year, we have ran a live show a week before October, the one where it has JDC, Kim was there, Sonia was there, John was there, Bill was there. We want to run another live show this year. We are thinking the date is 16th of June. Now, we do not know whether we should book a room for 20, 50, or 100. Okay? So,
Or 1,000. Or 1,000.
wow, that one different level already. If 1,000 of you is going to come for this show, I will book. But I don't know which one.
Indoor stadium.
Indoor stadium. Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to put out a form to get your interest and
feeler.
Yeah. So based on the number of you who have indicated that on the 16th of June from 7 to 10:30 that you can make it, I will then start looking for the place that can fit all of us. Okay, so help me out with that one. And also, there's one more that I want to do. This one is something that I've been toying around for a very long time. I even have a WhatsApp focus group. So I'm inviting everyone, all of you, to, if you want to be part of this focus group, please join this WhatsApp group that I have started a long time ago. I'm leaving it in the YouTube comment section, or if you are listening to me on audio, it's tinyurl.com, tinyurl.com/SC focus. What this group is about is a focus group where I am intending to do certain things, cool ideas, membership tiers, and instead of just coming up with things that I think you want, I rather ask you for your feedback based on a set criteria, a framework that I've packed. Give me some priority, like list them down like 1 to 5, which is more important to you, so I get a better idea of what the community wants, and then I can create stuff that you guys would like. Because one of the things that I was walking home tonight, I was thinking there are some investigations I've done that I think it's too insensitive to just post it online, or sometimes I listen to a confession that just me sharing with you guys on Friday, but I could really come up with an area where members who want to receive exclusive content get to hear about that, or for members who really want to be involved in the ideation process. I want to be able to give this various categories to the right people who wants it. So all this, check out on our Facebook page, Facebook group, and join the SC WhatsApp focus group link. It's tinyurl.com/SC focus. Okay, so hope to see you guys joining for that. All right. Yes, it's
Okay.
on Patreon. Yes, KK Hing. It's going to be on Patreon. That's something that we'll be launching 1st April.
Yeah.
Because we launched coffee last April, so this year something new as well.
Okay, next confession. Come.
Okay, Sonia, over to you.
Okay, wait, I have to get there.
The hidden room.
I can tell Sonia did not read the
I had so
confession.
much
I
IT problems today. My God. I did. I just have to go. I have to go into the drive for it.
Okay.
Now, this story is called The Hidden Room by Dave D'Souza, who's in his 40s. I don't know why we must put the age. And then 40 is very vague, not early 40s, not late 40s, but just 40s. Okay. Now, my work requires me to travel very frequently, about 2 to 3 weeks out of a month. My travel package offers me a budget for very decent hotels, but I enjoy staying at boutique hotels more than the usual branded chains because it's got more character. Refurbished heritage hotels are my favorite. These days, though, after a particular incident, I think twice about staying in such places. I wouldn't consider myself a believer, which is why most times when I listen to your podcast, I'd say I'm actually on team super rational. I believe these are things we don't understand. But unless I actually come face to face with a ghost, it's hard for me to feel the way you do about them. Did I write this story? But that all that's my pen name. But that all changed at the end of last year. I won't tell you which hotel it was, but it was an old historical building that had a very posh makeover. They gave me the corner unit with a nice view. There's nothing much to do around the area after dark, and I'm not a nightlife type of guy. So I drank my duty free whiskey by the balcony before bed. I had a really vivid dream that night. I woke up in my dream seeing an elderly Caucasian man in my room. He was standing in front of the balcony doors looking outside. I called out to him. Note that at this point I did not feel any fear, just a sense of utter sadness. I could tell he wanted something, but when he spoke, there was no sound. He walked through the cupboard, and in the next scene, I was in another room. He pointed to his diary on the dressing table, and I walked over to read it. I sobbed myself awake, cheeks and pillow all wet. I had been crying in my sleep. What was odd was that, unlike other dreams where I would wake and the memories would soon fade away, this time the memories remained. I can remember the musky, woody smell. I can remember the content of the diary, and beyond all that, I could feel a sharp, I could feel a sharp in my gut, a sharp pain in my gut. I somehow knew that the man in my dream had been murdered by poison, and his death was agonizing. I checked the time, and it was still early in the night, so I went back to bed and forced myself to sleep. When I got up in the morning, the feeling still weighed heavily on my chest. I tried to retrace the steps from the dream. I stood in front of the balcony, and then I went to the cupboard. Something compelled me to open the cupboard and check inside. Nothing out of the ordinary. I looked around the wall around it and just tapped around mindlessly, looking for nothing in particular. And that's when I realized the wall was made of wood. Why this was strange was because these old buildings are usually bricked up on all sides. But it seemed like my room was larger originally, but a partition had been erected to divide it. I looked outside to see if there was another room beside me, but like I said, mine was the corner unit. Structural wise, it looked like there was space for another room, but no doors. After breakfast, I went to chat with the proprietor of the hotel. He was actually surprised when I asked about the history of the hotel, and his demeanor changed when I started describing the old man I saw in my dreams. Apparently, over the years, many people have seen the Baron, a nickname the hotel staff had given the man. It turned out that there was indeed another room beside mine, but due to the high number of sightings and complaints, they have had to seal up that room. I described the room in my dream, and the proprietor validated that my description was accurate. As the legend goes, this building belonged to two business partners, but when one of the partners passed away, the younger partner sold off the property to new owners and left. A few months later, the man came back to beg the new owners to let him buy back the building. The new owners had other plans in mind and refused the offer. The man was desperate and kept spouting that it was a matter of life and death. The new owners did not relent. 2 days later, the young man did not wake up from his sleep. I didn't know how I knew it then, but I just knew. I said that the partner had poisoned the old man because he had wanted to sell the property for a tidy profit. But the old man did not want to. The proprietor, this word I tell you, laughed and said maybe. But he was curious to know how I knew because the legend was not public knowledge or on the internet, and only people who were related to the family knew of this. I then gave him more information about my dream. He shook his head and said that it's really uncanny because everything I said were things that only a small, select group of people would know. I asked about a diary, but the proprietor said he didn't know anything about it, and by the time he had taken over, the property had already changed hands a few times before. The night before I went to bed, I wrote a note to Baron and left a glass of whiskey for him by the dresser. I said that I knew of his secret and I believed him. It's been way too long, and perhaps it's time he tried to let go of the past. Whoever had done him wrong has long passed on. I don't know if that message went through, but that night and the few nights after, I slept peacefully. On the day I left and was about to go into the cab, I looked up at my room again, out of instinct, and I thought I saw someone standing on my balcony looking at me. When I took a second look, the man was gone. So, yes, Eugene, I think this time I might have actually come face to face with a ghost. And I'm thankful it wasn't like most of the stories I have heard on your channel. It's quite poignant, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a tragic ghost story.
It's very complex. There's a lot of context which is useful. Which city was this in?
This
Eugene?
is
I think you had some background.
yes, Copenhagen, Denmark. Someone was asking in the
then-
comment section as well. Yes, Copenhagen, Denmark. So there's a lot of I mean Europe. There's a lot of old buildings with a lot of
Yeah.
forgotten past. and-
Loads of them.
Oh, okay.
Okay, who wants to go first, John? Or I mean, since Sonia been reading, John, you want to go first with this one?
I'm very fascinated by two things, right? Two things. One is a slight evidential kind of query. Okay, I don't know. Okay, but he mentioned that the wall was made of wood, right? At least the part that he was tapping, right, was made of wood, right? But then when he spoke to the concierge, they said that the room, because it had been haunted, right, and there were many reports, the wall was the door was sealed up, right? So does this mean that? But he said there was no door. So I'm slightly confused. Was there the wooden part? What was that?
Okay.
Because that sounds more like part of your room had
Yeah.
been partitioned, as opposed to there was actually a room, which means that it shouldn't be wood. That should be the brick wall between the two rooms, and then there should be a door in the corridor. That is now, well, I mean, to seal up a hotel room, you just close the door. You don't have to actually cement the door over until people can't even see the door.
So maybe what
That seems, yeah.
yeah. So,
I'm
my
just curious.
assumption in regards to the structure is probably this room is not from the outside. It's not like a separate hotel room. It's like a room within a
okay.
room,
Adjoining.
room.
It's
Yes.
is it like another
So
or
only
another part
access-
of a larger room?
Oh, don't forget this old
Accessible
building.
from his room.
It could be a much larger room before, and they partitioned some things, and it could have been a door there after the partition, but then they built a cupboard over it. Maybe. So, but my understanding is it's a big room, partition, and so when you're sleeping here, behind that wooden wall is another room with a ghost living in there.
But not a hotel room. because
hotel room,
no
yeah.
other guests. Yeah, it's part of your. It's a suite lah. It's a suite. You had a walk-in closet or you had a something else, and now you don't. Now it's a smaller room.
Yes,
Right. Okay.
yes.
Maybe I can buy that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I'm less curious about that. I think the other thing for me was okay. So here's a guy who has not had any experience again, right? Someone who has not had any experiences, and then at the end of it, he says he's convinced that now he has come face to face with a ghost,
Yeah.
right? But yet, it was a dream.
Yes. It was a dream, but yet when he
So,
told his dream to the proprietor, uh, it was validated.
such a man, that doesn't make it a ghost. It's still a dream. You just dreamt of someone who existed. If I dream of, Thomas Edison, it doesn't mean I meet his ghost. It means I dreamt of someone,
Also,
right?
so again, my understanding is perhaps what he could have thought was a dream was him actually astral traveling.
But he himself was quite confident
Yeah,
it was
it's
a
a dream
lucid
lah. Yeah,
dream.
lucid dream,
A
yeah.
lucid dream, right? So when I hear it, without the bit at the end where
Yeah.
he talks about seeing a ghost, I buy this as one of those, a message,
Psychic,
right?
premonition, maybe.
A visitation, a realization, something, right? In a dream, But it's his conclusion that confuses me, because is there something else he's not telling us that makes him so sure that it wasn't just a dream, but it's something else, right? Yeah, it's entirely possible that he has some sort of latent psychic ability, and that he was able to pick out the face of this person from the room, and he was able to see the person who used to live here, who died here, and even sense his sadness, right? That's a very prominent thing he brings up. So he seems to be, maybe with his duty-free whiskey, right? He's very sensitive to these things. He also seems to be quite a bit of a loner, right? Not a nightlife kind of guy. So maybe he's a little bit more sensitive to these things. So I'm just surprised that he would jump to, conclusion, I've seen a ghost, as opposed to, I dreamt the truth. I dreamt a secret.
You know
So,
why not,
yeah,
John?
so I
You know
want.
why? Because
Yeah,
he's a
why?
SC fan. So he assumes he
Because
saw a
you-
ghost because he wants to see a ghost. He wants to believe.
He wants to believe, yes. So I think there is a bit of that going on, because I think I love the fact that rooms, and I've always believed this, right? The older the building, the more things the stones remember, right? And all it takes is someone who is either permanently tuned to that channel, or who is temporarily sensitive to pick up on things, right? And then the human mind will do the rest and patch up the holes, and sooner or later, you get a message, you get a story,
It's
and in this,
it's a prime setup. Everything is it's been primed. He's a loner.
Yeah.
He's had some whiskey, and he's in a old historical building. It's
feeling the
right.
vibes. Yep.
Yes.
Because don't forget, he likes to stay in the boutique hotels. So he is a man who seeks the older hotels, the
These
history,
experiences already.
rather than the new chain hotels, because he is drawn to it, right? So clearly he has
Correct.
a sensitivity for these things, right? And again, that's where it helps that he's 40-something,
Yes.
right? So he's a bit older, he's seen a bit more of life. I think his interest in history and stories is greater,
Yes.
I think
That's why I was wondering if this sounds like my story.
if this was a 20-year-old something, young person, I think they'll just be like, change my room now, there's a ghost in it, and then they won't try to find out the story behind the
Because
sadness.
he seems quite happy to have the experience, to have the
Yes.
dream, and
Yeah, so in a way you
you
can
get
say
that feeling.
Baron chose the right person to appear to, right? Maybe he's been appearing in the wrong people's dreams for so long, and finally he found the one person who can piece it all together, So it's kind of nice, Unfortunately, there's no follow up, because the bad guy already passed on.
I want to
right?
find
So
out
what?
something, right? Is this like a common trend for all SC listeners? Like, you guys want to see things, is it? Is that like a death wish that you guys have? I mean, the fact that you're listening in on the stories, like people's confession, you're like, yeah, so cool. I wish one day I have my own confession. Is that like a part of the psyche? The unspoken
Yeah.
psyche?
I mean, who doesn't want to have a good confession to share, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure at some level,
I mean,
acknowledged or not,
that's
conscious
why
or not.
that's why they want to be. I mean, that's why they're here. This is what they
Yeah.
want.
You know, so I mean, I love the mystery behind it, right? And I think that this is one of those destiny things, lah, right? You know, the story found its teller in the end,
Yeah.
the right person,
And
and
then
it
our
seems to have
teller found us. Then
us.
it's all part of the destiny chain. When you find
Is
us, you're
is
sent to us.
Destiny's Child. Destiny's Child. Okay.
I want to say a quick hello to Arthur Keefe. Arthur Keefe is
Hello, Arthur.
first time listening to us, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't know you guys having a podcast every Friday." Yes, we do. 10 to 11:30. If there's some technical issue, then it's 10:15. Or if John is very late, then it's 10:30. But usually it's 10 to 11:30. Arthur is also. So happens that he's in a hotel room in Bangkok now, listening to Haunted Hotel podcast.
Ooh. Okay, please start knocking on all the walls. Okay, check.
Yeah, find.
And if there's any previous history of hauntings, you can get a free upgrade. Okay, remember that. Okay, tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Stay tuned, because after this, with dissect this confession, before we say goodnight, I'm going to give you guys, especially Arthur, some pantangs and some precautionary measure that you should do when you go to a hotel room. Okay, stay tuned for that one, Arthur. Then we'll talk about that after this. But,
The SC life hack. Okay.
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 How?
Eugene, what do you think?
Me, what I think.
Yeah.
I love this story because it's not your usual woo-woo. Or in what Timo would say, the heebie-jeebies kind of story. I feel that this one has a lot of painful soul that cannot cross over and is just trying to seek help, because he's so beloved with this place. He was murdered by a younger partner. Obviously, betrayal is very painful. And then he was poisoned, and he sold. The hotel was sold. So I believe that there is something so strong, so important to this barren guy that he just cannot let go. And again, when I look at European story, I always have a very different take on the hantu there. It's not your usual Asian horror, your Japanese horror, your Thai horror, your Indonesian horror. None of that. None of the horror that Arthur Keefe is probably likely to see in his Bangkok room today. So the European horror is always very, is more towards the phantom, the one that has a vengeful spirit with a dying wish, or want to tell you that he has buried a treasure under this hotel and he's trying to get someone to claim it, right? So I found Angmo ghost story to be more romantic than scary.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And I put myself in the shoes of
Yes.
Dave. I wouldn't be, I mean, he wrote a freaking letter and put a glass of whiskey. Wow. It's a kind of story, So
I just watched on Netflix. We Have a Ghost. Which is we're starring Jennifer Coolidge, right, my favorite actress, and it's very much in this vein, right? It is the sort of wrongfully murdered, buried, and then trying to find out. In this case, trying to find out his own story because he'd forgotten, but also needing human help, right? Someone to bridge that gap, you know. Yeah. So you're right. I think the perfect word is romantic. There's a desire. There's a desire to affect the emotions other than fear. Right?
Yeah, it's not one of your typical jump scare type stories. It's
but also because I mean generally speaking, Asian hantu, scare you first, then we talk, right? Whereas it was very remarkable that he said he did not feel fear, right? But he felt sadness.
He cried until
right?
the pillow wet. No, wow, it's like
so
yeah.
So it's a romantic story, and the person who it happened to, the dream came to a very romantically inclined person who could appreciate it.
Yes.
Right? Can you imagine how many people have run screaming the moment the dream came, or run screaming from the Baron and he didn't get a chance?
No, but you see, if the Baron came as if the Baron came as a shadow creature standing at the foot of your bed, you might be scared, right? But if the Baron came as As a sad old
What?
Yes,
man looking forlornly out of the balcony and like, I
Of my
sigh.
room, I'm still pretty freaked out.
Okay, good question here, right? I just question to all the listeners, Sonia and you as well. Would you rather see a spirit in its past life form, as in features and clothes?
Yeah.
Phantom. Okay, maybe I give you a bit of hantu. No legs and floating, but full on features. Or
Okay.
the shadow, no shape kind of orang minyak being. Which one would you prefer to see?
When you say prefer, what do you mean?
Like
In
if-
our SC brain, using our SC brain or using our personal brain?
Wow.
Now we have defined that SC has polluted us all, right? So we are now children of SC. We all want to believe. In which case, I think I would choose the more mysterious one.
Orang minyak.
As confusing as possible.
Wow.
Because it's a bigger
Okay.
because it's a
okay.
mystery, right? But of course, personally speaking, I would want the one that is less threatening, lah. Right? So the one that looks like I can talk to it and reason my way out of this encounter, is comforting to
Because
Jonathan.
when the entity is humanized, and
Yeah.
my brain can humanize the entity, I have
Correct.
more empathy for that than a creature. Like take for example the Syed Wilson's episode 3, for example. All the weird kind of hantu, the hand,
yeah.
the head, cannot.
Way beyond.
You know the
Correct.
maybe they are the future the future aliens, the future mankind coming here to give me the 4D number for next week. I'm freaking out first, right? So for me, seeing a more formed up entity it's my preference. Sonia, what about you?
yes, definitely something that I can relate to, something less threatening. That way, fear factor goes down, right? If it's something that is bloody, gory, those things are meant to frighten you anyway. So if an entity is going to appear as a very gentlemanly, old, bearded, very grandfatherly looking, not scary at all, then approachable.
But
And
so that is all three of us personally would choose that, right? If it's
yes.
if it's my hotel room and I'm in it alone, yes, that's what I would choose. But the SC side of my brain, right? In the same way that if I said, hey, let's go watch a horror movie, you would not say, sure, Ghost Whisperer is a great horror film.
I tell
Right?
you,
You would not. You would not. You would go, Sadako, please. Thai horror, please. Korean horror, please. Because we want to believe and we want to be scared. Come on.
I tell you,
Right?
the Malays in our community will say that you and Sonia will be screwed. You know why? Because they believe in genes, and genes will take on the form of something that they can win away your trust.
That's okay as long as halfway something horrible happens. Okay, you burst into flames like the kitten. You can be a cat all you like as long as you burst into flames. That's good also. Pass. Right? Pass.
Something-
All right?
Unholy.
Yes, shock me, all right, shock me, all right. But if that is all that you are, then yeah.
Okay, question for Sonia. Sonia, I think this is a question for you. And also next I'm going to pass you the proverbial mic as well to for your take on this this confession, right? And John, I want your answer for this as well. Feel free to chime in later. When he got into the cab and he waved, what he thought he saw there. Sonia first, right? Do you think that was the spirit of the man that he saw, or was that a romantic notion that he wants to see something? Because he looked up, which means there's already an intention to see something,
Yeah.
and then he saw it because
Yep.
What's your take? Really hantu or in his mind?
Figment of his imagination.
I knew you were gonna say
He has this very romantic notion. He's come again. Like I said, he's already primed for it. He loves
Yeah.
heritage hotels. He is already looking for the history. You go to places like that because you love the historical aspect and the
Yeah.
vibe of it. He is ready and already conditioned for this kind of story to happen. So all
Yeah.
we have to do is plant a tiny little seed in there something he could have read or seen while he was researching for the hotels to go to. Because you don't just find boutique hotels like that. You have to do research because you are very
Yeah.
particular, right? You want historical heritage. You have to do some checking. He could have come across a keyword, a little bit of history
Yeah.
about it. Stay in a
In
hotel where
fact,
barons once lived. Then the word baron is already in his head. So
ah,
the fact that he looked up, he's looking for a conclusion to this romantic lingering story he
yeah,
already built in his head. And
yeah,
and I feel it's a very poignant, tragic love story, very fitting of the kind of place that he was in. And he's a loner,
yes.
so he's going to be a little bit more romantic already. He's had a couple of drinks and whatnot. And guess what? It's a beautiful story to retell to people
Yeah,
like
I love.
you.
I mean, if I'm not mistaken, he actually says, "I thought I saw a man in the window." Right. So he himself
Okay,
is
okay.
is is is
Wants
keep
to,
yeah keeping that option open because he knows he
yeah.
knows it's not a full on because his reaction to it was it was a perfect cap to a little adventure, right? And I think
Yes.
being a
Even if
writer.
he didn't see it, right?
Yeah, yeah. Even being a writer, I would want to complete the experience, right? It is rounding up the experience. So you would like Sonia said, right? You would want to look up because you feel you must play your part, right? The last scene must be me looking back at the house that I have escaped from, and the reciprocation, lah, right? The confirmation that I have received your message and you have received my message because you left him a letter and a glass of whiskey. So you expect a thank you, a goodbye wave, something,
Yes.
right? Yeah, it's the reason we look back, at the airport or at the train station, right? We are expecting the person who saw us off to finish it off with a wave, and then we get really frustrated when they're already leaving or gone, already gone. Then we're like, hey, you spoil my lovely story,
Yeah. Okay. So,
right?
The conclusion. Every story must have a
Yeah.
beginning, a middle, and an end.
okay. So, conclusion for this confession: hantu, not hantu.
Psychic experience because he was in a very suggestible place,
Okay, psychic
right?
experience.
And whether he's normally psychic or not, he certainly was primed for it, right?
Okay.
And what was sending the message? That's where the mystery is, right? So who is sending the message,
Okay.
right? And yeah, so must be
I want a sequel. I want a sequel
yeah,
to
correct.
this.
Okay, so I'll
I
give you
think-
the address. You go and stay there, lah.
We
Sonia.
go and hack that wall. Okay, we gotta knock that wall down and find the diary. The diary still remains to be found. He didn't even say what he saw. He read the diary, and then he kept it a secret. I want to know what's in the diary. Next season
If we-
on the hidden room.
Yes.
Okay,
We got so
okay.
many screenplays ready to go.
I want to know.
Okay, so we got psychic from John. Sonia,
Yeah.
what about you?
I think I think it's all playing out in his head. The power of suggestion already there. He's in the correct place with the correct vibes for him to play that story out in his head. He said he dreamt it, right? He dreamt
Yeah.
the Baron. So already taking place in his subconscious.
So maybe.
I think.
So are you saying
Yeah,
that he
I-
actually knew some of this information, but maybe
I
had
think
subliminally
Subliminal.
absorbed it, right? Yeah, and
Yes.
then it all
Because,
clicked
like I
together
said,
for him. Yeah.
Yeah, he needed to have done some reading. What you want to look for a heritage historical hotel, you are going to have to look for these places.
True.
So,
True.
yeah.
Entirely possible. Okay. Eugene, your verdict?
I'm going with okay. I believe in my heart that it's a psychic pickup. He picked it up. Psychic because like this kind of memories are in the wall. So he was a bit sensitive, maybe he
Yeah.
drink, the stars were aligned, whatever. He picked it up almost as a subconscious. And then the subconscious play and form and fill in the gaps for a message.
Yeah.
And it became a narrative. But the part of me wants to
But-
believe is that there is a soul stuck within this place that is trying to reach out for someone to solve its mystery for it. I like that from a
Right.
narrative angle, but I'm leaning towards the psychic portion, as in he see it was just a dream one night, and he got the glimpse of
Yeah.
it. He woke up crying, and there have been times where some of us were really dreaming, and we feel it's so real. And I think Sonia was spot on something. If you are staying in a boutique hotel, you are going to have to do research. Could he have, as he's reading all this, and the word baron or something just came out, and then it just clicks for him. And because you already want to believe, you start filling in the blanks, and it becomes very real for you. And I had this conversation today with some friends over dinner, and two of them are doctors. One is a medical doctor, one is a doctor PhD. And the medical doctor was saying, on the atomic level, when you look at something, the thing appears, the atom appears, but it is non-existent prior to that. So, of course, when people meet me for dinner, first thing they talk is about all hantus and all. So, shout out to Ali, or who's watching this. Yeah. So Ali says that in quantum physics, atom appears only if you look at it. But you do, it's not, it doesn't happen otherwise. And he believes, as a doctor, medical doctor, he believes in spirits as well. And this brings me back to another topic that I did. It's a very famous experiment that I've done once before, where the collective belief of a place being haunted created the haunting. Yeah. So when we go to a certain place and we want to believe in the romantic notion of that haunting, and when we have one dream, we could start filling in the blanks and creating the entire narrative in my head, but it's so real we believe in it. Or B, because we believe in it, we manifested the entity. So either one, but either way, it is a hantu lah.
You know what this reminded me of as you're talking about it, right? It reminds me of Sadako, right? And what's in the video, right? Right? Remember the video, right? The cursed video in the ring, right? And if you go back to the original novel, right, by Shimizu, right, it's actually a science fiction novel.
Oh.
It actually isn't. It was made into a horror movie, but it's actually kind of science fiction-y horror, because it's about how a sort of vengeful spirit can code their hatred and their desire for vengeance into images, dreamlike images, and those become electromagnetically captured and then transferred. So it is the para-hantu, right? It's crossing from the supernatural into the scientific, right? And that's the basis of the ring, right? How can a ghost create a videotape? This is exactly how, right? And I'm thinking of images like, the old man pointing at the wall and the sadness and all that. It reminds me of the dream of Suzako's vision, because she too had her mother pointing, remember? In one of the images in there.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's how scraps of information, scraps of remembered pain and emotion suddenly become a sort of art film in your head, right? And that's how you process it. And then if you think harder, you can unravel it into a mystery or a story or something, right? Or evidence, So I'm very curious. I'm very curious to talk to this person further if there's a chance, to find out how the dream. He said the next scene, I'm in the next room. So I want to know about that transition, right? And what did the next room look like? And what's in that diary? And perhaps, if it's possible, to investigate that. Because it would be amazing if he really saw the room that he could not possibly have seen before.
Stay tuned for Supernatural Confessions, Friday Night Live 2024, where we bring Dave D'Souza onto the show.
Where we
the
do
Hidden Room Part 2.
Follow-up confessions.
Yeah. Okay, level 52 now. We're going to have
So
to quickly end this before 12. And I promise to give you guys some pantangs of hotel rooms.
Yes,
Arthur, hopefully you guys,
Yes.
Arthur, you're listening. Arthur, are you there? Just give me a wave so that I know that you are protected tonight.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
John, Sonia, feel free to chime in as well. Sonia, Superational and all that. I know you go hotel room, sure got your rituals on. I don't mean facial and all. What do you do?
You would know.
Right? What do you
Super
do?
pantang.
What do you do when you go to hotel rooms to protect yourself? First of all, Number 1, knock on the door before you enter. Right?
I shall
Because-
write down.
Write down. When you go to the hotel room, knock on the door before you enter. My grandmother say so that you don't shock the spirit, and then they will hunt you at night. If you polite, you knock on the door and say, "I'm coming in to stay 2 nights, 3 nights. Please don't disturb me." The hantu will go, okay, polite boy, I won't disturb him.
Yes, I think knocking is minimum, but as much as possible, express your intention, right?
Express
How long?
Ah, but that one is not just pantang, because sometimes they give out extra room key cards. You can never tell. There could be someone inside your room already. So in real life, it's a very good thing to do, because if somebody
Just-
answers you from in there because they gave the room to somebody else already, I think that's an excellent one.
Yeah, very nice.
Just in case.
I'm going
just
to
in
give you
case,
the
right?
hantu version. Sonia's going to give you the rational version.
I'll give you the yes.
You get two
Two
for price
for
of
the
one.
price of one.
Okay. Number 2. Okay.
Mm.
When you are in your room and you're putting your shoes, do not put them like in normal fashion, like ready for you to walk. As stewardess tell you, you have to flip one upside down, one up the right way up. Because
Or you can face different directions.
Face different direction.
Face different, yeah.
because for some reason when the shoes are facing different direction, the ghost cannot wear your shoe and therefore cannot walk in your footsteps or cannot follow you back home. So you don't want the ghost to follow you back home, put the shoes separately.
Okay, I have a variation to this.
Ah.
Okay, counter theory from my grandmother. Okay, so
Ah.
this is legit.
Ah.
You must do that everywhere. If your shoes are near your bed at all, right? So this doesn't just apply to your shoes. It's your bedroom slippers, because hotels you always tend to wear the free slipper, right? Then you walk around. So the slippers are right next to your bed. Do not put them in the same direction, because if your soul separates from your body at any time during the night, it will not come back.
Oh.
Yeah, it's meant to confuse your own spirit
Oh.
from leaving.
Okay.
This is
If I
this is
wanted
what
to
my
confuse my spirit, I just have more than one pair of shoes out.
also can. But then you could wear any of those shoes and go, because they're all your shoes. You see, it's the
Eh,
same reason
John
why.
disappeared. Oh, there he is.
Oh, I'm in the shadow. It's the same reason why my grandma used to say you cannot put a mirror at the foot of your bed, because when your soul goes traveling, it might choose the mirror to come back to rather than you. So there were a lot of beliefs, but I think the shoe thing makes a lot of sense in every way, except if there's a fire and you need to run away in the middle of the night, you will waste precious seconds trying to put on your shoes. So it's a risk. It's a risk you have to take, lah. Sonia, is there a rational reason we should do this?
In the first place, I don't believe in wearing shoes into the hotel room from a cleanliness standpoint, because you're bringing in dirt from outside in, and you should always leave it further away from your bed anyway. So they are never near my bed in the first place.
Okay.
Right? And then this whole putting them one up and one down, or like in the opposite directions, I've honestly actually never heard of this before. It's the first time I'm hearing of this.
Is it a Chinese
So,
thing only? For me, it was, because it
I
came from
don't
my
know.
grandma. Eugene?
Mine is from the
Yeah,
SQ
I
days.
grew up in a.
Oh, okay.
I never
Okay.
had my Chinese grandma or Chinese mom
Yeah.
tell me anything like that, so I don't know.
Okay.
Number 3.
Right.
Number 3, and this is a very important one. Do not sleep in front of a mirror or sleep facing any mirror, because
See.
when you sleep facing mirror, your soul will get sucked into the mirror and then you will not wake up. And then whatever that comes out of the mirror and takes over your body, you may not be the real you. It could be another soul inside your body. So do not sleep in front of the mirror.
So this is again my grandma, right? This is what she meant, right? Yeah, because apparently our wandering souls can be easily confused, and can be frightened, so may go back to the wrong one, and then that will leave your body available for any wandering spirit to occupy. Yeah.
Okay. So anything rational for that?
I think that you shouldn't have a mirror anywhere near your bed, because some people, they need makeup, and when they wake up, their makeup is not on. It's too horrifying to look at.
So you must scare yourself with your...
Actually, that's a famous trope in many horror films, right? There's always one scare yourself with your reflection moment, right? Before the ghost appears. So yeah, don't scare. It's a strange room. You're not familiar with it. I think when you wake up in the middle of the night, yes, you will be surprised by someone that looks like you.
Ugly.
Okay. Well, I got a lot more, but because running out of time, the last one I will have to tell you this one. If you're living staying in Indonesia hotel, never stay in the room if you look at the window frame, the door frame, with the one with 3 nails on top. In Indonesia, they have rituals where they put 3 nails at the top of the door frame where it traps the spirits inside so the spirits cannot come out. So if you stay in a room like that, you are staying in with a room full of spirits. And last one also, one more, along
You
that
mean
one.
like when they nail into
On
the
door frame,
trees
just
to trap?
on top of the door frame, 3 nails.
But this is outside the room, you mean?
Outside, stick out. The nails will be sticking out.
Okay, sure.
And
Okay.
corner rooms are the worst.
Why?
Yeah, because corner rooms are usually the portal where the ghosts will come in and out from. So corner rooms are haunted, apparently.
Okay. Wow.
Corner rooms are usually the bigger ones also. You know, it's like some dead space at the end of the corridor type thing, and then they incorporate it into the room.
They're also
And they
the
usually
quieter.
have the most, quieter and the most amount of light. A lot of corner rooms have more windows around that corner.
Yeah, in my two favorite Bangkok hotels, I always insist on the corner room. So oh no.
Yeah.
See lah.
Oh, no.
Subconsciously,
So
you're
you can
SC member.
you
that's why
can
seeking
you
out
can
all the
debunk
hantu
it
place.
already.
Yeah, I can debunk it already.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I mean,
Now, no time.
Cool.
12 o'clock already, guys. Midnight already. People need to sleep already. I know John is trying to get his last bus.
yes, I'm walking. Okay.
Okay, next week, guys, we have Datuk Crow from Crow Goes Adventures. Alright, Datuk Crow and his team has just gone for an expedition in Kuala Lumpur last week, and they actually were one of the OGs of paranormal investigators in Singapore, and we bring in the
was
founder.
To celebrate their anniversary.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Bring in the founder on next week as a guest. So it's going to be a special episode where we're going to look at all, or 3 lah, not all lah, 3 of their top expedition stories that they will share with us.
Nice.
Yep. This week we have Sonia Superational Khurana. Thank you for making an appearance today. You still remember your parting speech or not? Your closing tagline?
I'm super rational.
Okay, John, you go first. I'm giving Sonia some time to think.
Today, okay lah. Today is very simple, right? It is the refrain that all SC members will now have. We want to believe.
We want to believe.
Yes.
Okay, Sonia.
I'm Sonia and I'm signing out. I usually have a super rational explanation for most things.
Nice.
Well, my name is Eugene Tay and I'm signing out with the greatest trick that the devil has ever pulled is convince you that he doesn't exist. Good night, everybody, and we'll see you guys next week, Wednesday, on The Fringe with Bill and Matt, Friday Night Live with John and myself and Datuk Crow next week. And check out the Facebook page, Facebook group, because I will be sending out some posts that require your involvement and your votes. All right, thank you, everyone, and good night.
Good night.
Ciao.
Woo.
What did you find?
You are listening to Supernatural Confessions.